Today we're talking about Bad Movies 101. This movie is called The 355. It is way better than I thought it would be. I thought this would be like the worst movie ever, but if I considering that my expectations were so low for this movie, well, it exceeded my extremely low expectations by smids. So The 355 is basically this movie basically about a group of women who are hired by the government and basically, told, oh, we must get this, chip and stop World War III. That's basically the whole part of the movie. That's all basically the whole part. And basically, this movie is basically like all the male characters are like evil. Okay, that's what really pissed me off a bit in the movie. Like, oh, it was basically a glorified feminist version of society. Basically, how feminists view how society should work. Women are the best. Women are the most intelligent. Women are the brightest. Women are the most smartest. And men, that they have to, they have been they have been the patriarchy for so long, and this movie must demolish the patriarchy. This is basically what the movie's about. No wonder why it flopped. No wonder why it bombed at the box office. Even the woke critics couldn't like this movie, which is a very hard thing to do if a movie's woke. Because typically the woke critics will always side after woke movie. But this movie is so bad and not good at all that even the critics gave it a 24%. Even the critics who would have defended this movie gave it a low score. Though I think there are more reasons this movie bombed and thus wokeness. It wasn't a popular franchise, at least in January, and the critics didn't like it, which a lot of people still trust these critics, which is why movies like Jurassic World Dominion didn't make $1 billion at the box office, because there was still a large portion of the population who still trust the critics. Of course, if the movie has a bad word of mouth from actual people, for then, the movie's not gonna have that great legs. But this is a movie that isn't really that good. It made an abysmal $27 million at the box office. Yep, a $27 million at the box office. So if you really want to see it, this is on Prime Video right now. If you really want to suffer through watching this movie, but this movie is basically just a feminist wet dream, basically, OMG, women beat up men, and still no one watched this movie. I bet the theaters were just as empty as, Captain Marvel's theaters when Cat movie came out. But Disney inflated the ticket sales to make that movie made $1 billion. Or, it's the same as Morbius' re-release. Which, yeah, I'm comparing this to Morbius' re-release as well. Wow, this movie actually made way less money than Morbius, which is the funny thing, because Morbius is considered the worst movie by the quote-unquote critics and IMDb. But this movie did far worse than Morbius because no one wanted to see this. There was no interest in this movie. And I think even if the movie came out in 2022, still no one would have watched it, but they will at least had the pandemic to blame for this movie's failure. But that's basically about the 355. So basically, if you wanted to watch a good movie, there are tons of better movies than this movie. I think this movie is definitely one of the worst movies I've seen this year. It is basically on the tier it is basically higher than movies like Buck Wild, but it's definitely in the lower end of the movies of the year. So that's basically about this video. Goodbye.